These are intangible, inseparable, very, very variable, and they are perishable in nature. These are the characteristics of service. Whenever we say product, we say product or services. Like what I've explained at the beginning of today's facilitation session. I started with the definition of the term a product, where we define a product as simply a set of tangible and intangible attributes, including color, taste, size, packaging, manufacturer's prestige, retailer's prestige, as well as manufacturer and retailer services, which the buyer will accept as offering want, satisfaction. So we said the intangible in the form of services. And if you were to look at the characteristics of services, services are intangible, inseparable, variable, as well as perishable. So if you were to look at these categories, we brought up another understanding of it from the perspective of Armstrong. And as you can see, Armstrong, he defined consumer good as product bought by the final consumer for final consumption. It is any good that is bought for household use, easy cars. For example, cars, food. Consumer goods can be further subdivided into the following. Yes, because as I've said, the consumer good can further be subdivided into another various categories. Under the consumer good, we have seen what we refer to as the convenience good. That is the convenience good, the shopping goods, the unsold good, as well as specialty goods. These are the various categories of consumer goods. Let me take you into them again. We have 4 categories of consumer goods. Number one is convenience goods. When we say convenience goods, they are the kind of goods that we have adequate knowledge about them. They are frequently purchased with a minimum of effort. They tend to be inexpensive and readily available whenever customers needed them. Now, with these features that we have identified of consumers' goods, let's understand them very well. Remember what we said about them. You consumers have adequate knowledge about them, like what I've mentioned earlier. You have adequate knowledge about convenience goods. Like what? Like soap. You have adequate knowledge about the soap you're buying. Like sugar. You have adequate knowledge about the sugar you're buying. And if you're to look at it, you purchase them with minimum effort. With minimum effort. You equally purchase them very, very cheap. They are that inexpensive. And they are always readily available. Anywhere you go, you see it, you buy. It's available. So if you want to understand convenience good very well, convenience good can further be subdivided into 3. As you can see on the slide. They can be subdivided into 3. The staple good, the impulse good, as well as emergency goods. Now, let's start with the staples goods, staple items. These are goods that consumers purchase on a regular basis. Staples items. When we say staples items, they are simply household goods. Household goods like rice, like milk, like oil. Learners, are you understanding? So this is what we mean by staples items. You purchase them on a regular basis, like the toothpaste we mentioned, like the soap, like the sugar, and others. So another category of consumer convenience good is an impulse good. An impulse good, these are goods that consumers have no intention of buying them, but you may decide to buy due to the impulse or how the goods are displayed. Now, when we say impulse good, this has to do with the kind of purchases that has to do with sudden decision to buy. Sudden decision to buy. As at the time you're leaving your hostel, you want to go to the classroom in a bit to attend your lectures. You did not intend to buy roasted corn. But as you're moving, the display on the part of the marketer, on the part of the woman roasting corn by the roadside, the display simply attracted you. You suddenly develop the urge to have it. So as far as we are concerned in marketing, that roasted corn you're buying an impulse good. Something that has to do with a sudden decision to buy. For example, again, you are moving from the hostel to the classroom area in a bit to attend to catch up with the schedule of your lecture. You saw a person selling ice cream, positioning himself in a very, very strategic location. As you're passing by, you saw the man with the display of the product, conducting his marketing strategies. And with that alone, you become influenced. And you suddenly develop the urge to buy the ice cream. So what you're buying, as far as we're concerned in marketing, you're buying an impulse good, something that has to do with a sudden decision to buy. Then again, emergency goods. When we say emergency goods, these are the kind of goods that we needed them in times of emergencies, such as the need for an umbrella in the event of rainfall, such as the need for vulcanizer in the event of having flat tire on your car. By the time you are having problems, you may need a mechanic. So as far as we are concerned in marketing, when we say emergency goods, we mean those kind of goods that we needed them in times of emergencies. Why? Because it's not just understanding these categories of goods, but understanding these categories of goods with respect to strategy planning. The assumption is that you may be a marketer of convenience items. You're marketing convenience items, such as the staples items, or the impulse good, or the emergency good. What will be the right strategy to devise? What will be the right strategy to always adopt? Now, let's consider the first one, which has to do with the staple items. Let's assume that you're a marketer of the staple items. Those kind of goods that you purchase regularly, those kind of goods that you have knowledge about them, they are simply household goods. What will be the right marketing strategy? When we say marketing strategy, it may be your marketing strategy related to promotion. Let's assume you want to promote the staple items. Your strategy will pay emphasis to what? It will lay emphasis on targeting at the right target audience. Why? Because it has been said that for any promotion to be effective as well as result-oriented, the marketer must be able to target at the right target audience. And when we say targeting at the right target audience, you should be able to identify those that you want them to benefit from your message, so that you can design your advertising messages with a view to penetrate them. So if you don't target at the right target audience, your promotion will never be effective as well as result-oriented. So this is the more reason why you have to understand. Why? Because when you say staple items, you have adequate information about the items. So they are not complex in nature. So it will help you to decide on the media to use in deciding on the advertising channel, on promotional channels. Why? Because when we say advertising, you must use a media channel within which you pass the information. But in choosing the media, you have been advised to make use of the right channel. Why? Because if you don't use the right channel, your promotion will never be effective as well as result-oriented. For your promotion to be effective as well as result-oriented, you must use the right medium. So if you look at the nature of the product, it's simple. Consumers have adequate knowledge about them, so you can use the broadcast media. When you're passing information using the print media, when you're passing information about the staple items using the print media, it's not likely going to be effective. The media, the broadcast media has proven to be the most effective medium for the advertising of consumer goods, while the trade press as well as the print has proven to be the most effective for the advertising of industrial goods. By the time we begin to understand the categories of industrial items, we should be able to understand this. So I'm taking into it, learners, with a view for you to understand various categories of product is with respect to strategy planning, so that you know if you are involved in the marketing of these items, you know how best to strategize so that you can compete favorably. So as you can see, the impulse good, yes, impulse, something that has to do with sudden decision to buy, like the market woman, like the woman you're meeting by the roadside roasting corn. The display is the strategy. You must display the product for people to see so that it will attract attention. And again, you must position yourself in an excellent location. So if you are to look at the strategy in marketing of this product, it revolves around what? It revolves around location. It revolves around display. That's why you see some product going into exhibition, up to product display, up to demonstrations, all in a bit to influence consumers. Learners, are you understanding? So if you are to look at emergency goods, these are goods that we say we needed them in times of emergencies, like the need for an umbrella in the event of rainfall. The strategy would revolve around what? The strategy would revolve around what? Timing as well as pricing. You must use the correct timing. And again, the right price. And to some certain extent, location. So the strategy would revolve around these three. Timing. Why? Because when we say timing, you must make it available at the right time, because it is a good for use during period of emergencies. So the moment rainfall, it has started falling, that is rainfall, it is expected that the marketer is available with the product to sell. And some people may not remember it after the rainfall. It is during rainfall that they will remember to buy. They will quickly buy. And as they are buying, you must make it available to them at the right price. Why? Because if you don't make it available at the right price, they may never buy. They may never buy. And as far as they are concerned, it's just like an unsold good, the kind of good that they don't look for it at all. But they may end up buying due to the marketing strategy of the seller. What will be the strategy? This may be the strategy, which revolves around availability and the correct timing, as well as low price. Why? Because low price will influence into buying. So if you're a marketer of an impulse good, you should know that making product availability is very key. And not only availability, the what? The timing. And not only at the timing, the pricing aspect. It must be low price. Why? Because it's just like an unsold good. If you don't come up with the strategy that will compel them, that will induce them into buying, they may never buy. So this is the first category of the convenience goods. That is this is the first category of consumer goods under convenience goods. So we now want to take the second classification of consumer goods, which is shopping goods. When we say shopping goods, these are the kind of goods that we go shopping. And we can only understand them based on product homogeneity and heterogeneity. Why? Because shopping goods, they are the kind of goods that we take time to buy them. We take a lot of time in trying to buy them. And in trying to buy them, at times we make comparisons. At times we appraise. At times we evaluate. Why are we comparing? Why are we appraising? Why are we evaluating the product? We are evaluating the product, we want to get the best. We are making comparison because we want to get the best. You always want to go for product of good quality. That's why you, at times, you subject the buying process to some appraisals, to some evaluations, to some comparisons. You may be comparing the pricing dimension in shop A with that of shop B. You may be comparing the quality with the product in shop A with that of shop B. Or you may be even appraising. For example, you want to buy bread. At times you keep on appraising the bread. Why? Because you want to get the softest. You want to make sure that it is the kind of product, it is the kind of bread with the kind of quality that will provide you with immediate satisfaction more effectively and efficiently. So at times you appraise. At times you appraise. Maybe like women jewelry is another example. If you want to buy women jewelry, gold, you want to make sure that what you're buying is gold. You don't want a situation whereby you end up buying a jewelry that is claimed to be gold. At the end of the day, you end up buying silver. So if you are to look at it generally, you always want to make sure that you are buying the right product. So if you want to understand shopping good, you can only understand shopping good from the perspective of product homogeneity as well as heterogeneous. Homogeneous product as well as heterogeneous product. When we say homogeneous product, these are the kind of product that are similar. For instance, Milo and Bombita, they are homogeneous in nature. Milo and Bombita, they are homogeneous in nature. That is product homogeneity. They are similar in nature. By the time you want to buy Milo and you couldn't be able to get the Milo, you may decide to buy Bombita. Why? Because they serve similar function. This is what we mean by homogeneous product. Then heterogeneous product. Product heterogeneity. Something different. The kind of product that is different. Like what? Like salt and sugar. Salt and sugar, they are different. If you want to use salt, you ended up seeing sugar. You can't buy it for the same purpose. Why? Because they are heterogeneous in nature. Like kerosene and petrol. They differ. So products that are different, that is what we mean by heterogeneous goods. Then products that are similar, that is what we mean by homogeneous goods. So if you want to understand shopping goods, they are within these two categories. They may be homogeneous as well as heterogeneous, as you can see. Why? Because shopping goods, they are less frequently purchased. Consumers make comparison. It could be on quality, it could be on price, as I have explained earlier on, or even the style in buying. And then some example of these categories of goods include furniture, clothing, as well as other examples as been cited earlier on. Then homogeneous goods, as I've said, they are goods that are similar in quality but different enough in price to justify shopping comparisons. While heterogeneous goods, they are goods that are different with features that are often more important to the consumer than the price. Why? Because when we say heterogeneous goods, at times they tend to be more expensive, but they are not as expensive as industrial goods. But they are more expensive than homogeneous goods. And consumers may be willing to buy even at extra cost. Why? Because of the conviction that what they are buying is the kind of good that will provide them with the needed satisfaction. So at times, you achieve some level of consumer loyalty. Some level of consumer loyalty. The rate at which consumers may be willing to buy product even at extra cost. In other words, even if you were to increase the pricing dimension of your product, consumers may be willing to pay for that increment, even at a very, very higher cost. So if you achieve that level of transaction with your customers, you're achieving the level of what we refer to as consumer loyalty in marketing. How you continue to be sustaining, how you continue to be enjoying sustained consumer goodwill. So another category of consumer goods. I remember what I told you. Earlier on I said we have 4 categories of consumer goods. Then I said convenience goods, shopping goods, specialty goods, and now unsought goods. So we want to understand specialty goods. Maybe we understood the earlier 2 categories. That is convenience as well as the shopping. Now we want to understand specialty goods. As you can see on the slide, special goods are those consumer goods with unique characteristics or brand identification for which a significant group of buyers are habitually willing to buy, or they want to even make special effort in making such purchases. So that's why we refer to them as special. They are good with unique characteristics. They are good with unique features. Whenever we want to buy them, we always want to insist on a particular brand. If it is not that brand, we are not buying. As a consumer, you want to buy a car. You always want to insist that it must be Honda. Even the Honda, it must be 2019 model. The 2019 model, you always insist it must be the one with alloy rim. And even the alloy rim, you insist it must be 6 fingers. It must be fully loaded, factory fitted AC. So if you are to look at it, you always want to insist on a particular brand. If it is not that brand, you will never buy. So this is what we mean by specialty by specialty good. The buying process is always marked with some negotiations as well as order placement. Why? Because whenever you want to buy good, anytime you want to insist, at times they may not be available. At times you place orders, and these orders tend to take longer period of negotiations and supply. You keep on negotiating. Let's assume that you want to buy the Mercedes series, 2021 series. Yes, it's available. It has been produced in Germany, but yet not in the Nigerian market. So what do? You place order. And if you were to look at the process of this order placement, it's marked by what? Long period of negotiations. So it may take you long time for the marketers to deliver, for you to have to get the product available. But if you are to look at it, at the end of the day, you become satisfied. Yes, you're the first person. Maybe you're becoming among the innovators of the society, the opinion leaders of the society, those that adopt the product first before others. You belong to the early majority rather than belonging to the late majority. Why? Because when we are talking of product innovation, those that adopt new innovations, new product into the market, those that buy them newly before others. We have different users of product. There are the heavy users, the light users. There are the early users, there is the late users. So the innovators, those that belong to the upper class of the society, they tend to be the early users. They tend to be the innovators rather than being the laggard. So if you are to look at it, under specialty good, we understand specialty good with regard to strategy planning. Let's assume that you are a marketer of specialty good. Certainly, you must devise good strategies on how you can be treating orders in good time, how you can deliver in good time. Why? Because in distribution, you make the product available to the right customers at the right time and at the right place. It's not just delivery, but how you can deliver to the right customers at the right time and at the right place. And that is even strategic marketing. Kotler defines strategic marketing as simply the process of delivering the right goods and services to the right customers at the right place and at the right time. Why? Because if you don't deliver to the right customers at the right time and at the right place, other consumers should be able to deliver to the right customers at the right time and at the right place. An indication that you're affording them with the opportunity for them to gain competitive advantage over your own organization. This is the more reason why you must be efficient in your production. This is the more reason why you must be efficient in not only your production system, but in your distribution system. The kind of channel you're going to use to deliver the product from one location to the other, you must enhance it. Be it no matter the mode of the distribution system, the channel must be very, very effective. You must use the most effective mode, the most effective channel, the kind of channel that will afford you with the opportunity of delivering to the right customers at the right time and at the right place. So if you were to look at the other category, which is unsought goods, as the word implies, unsucked, the kind of good that you don't look for them at all, but you may end up buying them due to the marketing strategy. Unsucked, you don't need it. Like insurance is a very good example. You have been encouraged to insure your property. You do your vehicle insurance, you do your motor insurance, you do your house insurance, you even do your life insurance. As far as you're concerned, this is an unwanted service. This is an unwanted service of what benefit to you? After all, when you have insured your car the last time, it was gutted by fire and nothing was done by the insurance company. So as far as you're concerned, it is an unwanted service. But what we are saying, let's assume you are a marketer of an unsold good, the kind of good that consumers will never buy, if not for your marketing strategy. How do you go about influencing them? Remember what we said under the selling concept. Ordinarily, consumers, if they are to be let alone, they will never buy. Why is it so? Because they tend to be portraying buying inertia. Consumers resist buying. They prefer to be influenced into buying. And that's why we conduct a lot of promotional campaigns, lots of promotional activities with a view to influence them into buying. So if you are to look at unsold goods generally, they are consumer products that the consumers do not know about them. They know about but does not normally think of buying them. You may be aware of the product, but you don't think of buying them at all. So most major unsold goods, they are not known until the consumers become aware of them through existing what? Through advertising. Through advertising effort. Why? Because ordinarily, like marketers of insurance, as I've explained, they will never buy. But you have to educate them on the benefit. Why? Because you must practice what you call the selling concept. It is when you're practicing the selling concept that you can be able to induce them into buying. Why? Because you educate them on the benefit they tend to derive from insuring their life, from insuring their vehicles. And if you can convince them, at the end of the day, they may end up, you may induce them into doing the business with you. You may influence them into buying. So this is the strategy. The strategy associated with the marketing of unsold goods revolves around what? Revolves around massive selling and massive promoting. You have to embark on effective promotional activity. Then the second category. Remember when we started under product classifications, we said products are of two different categories, the consumer good as well as industrial good. And we explained further, consumer goods are being subdivided into four, while we dwell on convenience items, we dwell on shopping items, specialty items, as well as unsold goods. Now, we want to understand the second category of product based on the classifications we are doing. And in this second category, we have what we refer to as industrial product. And if you want to understand industrial product, they are simply the opposite of consumer goods. Remember what we said about consumer goods. We said they are the kind of good that doesn't survive many uses. They are being purchased frequently, that consumers have adequate knowledge about them. They are inexpensive. So if you want to understand consumer product, it's just the opposite. Sorry, if you want to understand industrial product, it's just the opposite of consumer product. What is the opposite? In other words, what is industrial product? Industrial product, they are the kind of good that survives many uses. They are permanent in nature, and the nature of the purchases is infrequent and is very, very expensive. For instance, as you can see, these are those products that are purchased for further processing. Is equally another category of industrial good. And again, you can see, we said they are permanent in nature, like a car, like a building. Like a building is an example. Installations, machineries and equipment, component parts and manufactured materials, natural resources, farm resources. Remember what we said. Even component part and manufacturing, even accessory equipment. So if you want to understand these categories, you can understand them from the following groups, such as materials and parts. When we say materials and parts, it could be the car itself. Sorry, when we say component parts, here we mean component parts and manufactured materials. Component parts and manufactured materials. It could be component part like tires of a car, like the seat of a car, like the wheel of a car. That is component part, like the engine of a car, like the body of a car. Then it could be the manufactured, the car itself. It could be manufactured materials, the car itself. Learners, are you understanding? Or it could be capital items. Or it could be suppliers and business services. If you want to understand materials and parts, we can look at raw materials as a very good example. Like wheat, like cotton. These are good for further processing. They are good for further processing. You get wheat, further process into what? Into flour. Further process into what? Further process into bread. Cotton, further reprocess into what? Into cloth. So if you were to look at raw material, livestock, fruit, vegetable, fresh, they fall under categories of industrial items. So also farm product like juice, chivita, and the rest, they equally falls under industrial items. But what I want students to understand, please, there are some categories of product that can be classified both under consumer items as well as industrial items. If you want to determine the classification, they can be classified as both consumer items, consumer goods, as well as industrial goods. It is the purpose of the purchase that will determine whether it will classify as consumer good or as industrial good. For example, complex. If you're buying complex for the purpose of use at home, as far as we're concerned in marketing, you're buying a consumer good. But if you're buying the same complex for the purpose of resale in a restaurant, it turns out to become an industrial good. So also like a computer. If you're buying a computer unit for the purpose of use at home, it is a consumer good. But if you're buying computer for commercial purposes, for use in your shop, for your businesses, it turns out to become an industrial item. So it is the purpose of the purchase that will determine that whether your product can be classified under consumer item or it is to be classified under industrial item. There are some product categories that can fall under these two categories. But for the purpose of this class, we should be able to understand the various categories as we discuss. Then manufactured material, I think I've explained this. Component materials, which include the iron, the cement, the waste, okay, is another example being cited, but we treated. Like the component part, which includes small motors, the seat, the belt, the bulbs. I think I've explained something like that earlier on. So capital items, these are long-lasting goods. They are of two groups. And what are these two groups? You can see you have the installations as well as the accessory equipment. When we say heavy installations like what? Like buildings, such as factory installations and the offices. Fixed equipment such as generators, elevators, large computer systems. All these bigger masts we are seeing for GSM networks. They are very good example of heavy installations. You go to automobile companies. When you enter, you see heavy factory equipment